I pulled up to the house like I didn't know what kind of reaction I'd get. But let's be honest, I knew exactly what I was doing. The engine of my brand new Porsche purred like a lion announcing its presence. Sleek, black, polished like glass. Heads turned the second I rolled in. My cousin's jaw literally dropped. My mom stood frozen on the steps, squinting as if she couldn't possibly recognize me through the tinted windows. And my dad, well, his beer slipped right out of his hand. 10 months ago, none of them even cared if I was alive. Funny how money works like a megaphone in a family that once ignored you when you whispered your happiness. But let me back up, way back, to one of the most exciting moments of my life. I was sitting at the kitchen table with my fiancé, Alexis, laughing over whether to include my weird uncle in the wedding or not. Our save the dates had just arrived. Shiny, gold-foiled, minimalist design. I'd put so much thought into everything. Every little detail mattered. The font, the paper quality, the wording. I didn't come from a family that celebrated me, so this, us, felt monumental. For the first time in a long time, I was building something that wasn't conditional. We went through the guest list together, hand in hand. Her parents were thrilled, had already offered to help with vendors. Mine? Well, I sent a text first. Just an early heads up. Hey, Mom and Dad, Alexis and I picked a date. We can't wait to send you the invite. No reply. I figured, okay, maybe they're just busy. I called later that week. It rang and rang before going to voicemail. Hi, just wanted to say hi and, oh, Alexis and I set a wedding date. Let me know when's a good time to chat. Still nothing. Alexis said not to worry. They'll come around. They're probably just overwhelmed. And that almost made me believe it. I looked at her, compassionate and radiant, and thought maybe love really could fix the holes my parents left in me. 2 weeks passed. We mailed the formal invitations next. I double-checked their address 3 times. I even paid extra for the tracking notification. Delivered. Still. No RSVP. That's when I started second-guessing myself. Did they see the invite and just toss it? Did they forget? Were they waiting for something? A more personalized message? An apology I didn't owe? I reached out again, texted this time. Hey, just confirming if you got our invite. We really hope you can come. It'd mean the world to me. Read. No reply. That text screenshot sat in my phone like a funeral notice. I stared at it every night for a week. I'd reread old messages to see if maybe I'd done something, said something, anything that warranted this level of silence. But there was nothing there. Just cold, blank space where a parent's love was supposed to live. Alexis hugged me one evening while making dinner and asked, "Do you want me to try calling them?" I shook my head. I didn't want pity calls. I didn't want forced congratulations or fake apologies. I wanted genuine love. I wanted them to be happy for me, not just happen to show up. Deep down, though, a piece of me still thought, maybe they'll surprise me. Maybe they're just not RSVP types, but of course they'll come. They wouldn't actually miss their own child's wedding, right? But they would. They did. And I wouldn't understand why. Not fully. Until the day I drove into that family reunion with every ounce of my hard-earned success shining in chrome and speed. And suddenly, for the first time in years, they remembered I existed. Whose car is that? I heard someone whisper as I turned off the ignition. They had no idea it was me. They didn't know what I'd built, what I'd become. That the last time they ignored me, they handed me fuel, and that by the time they looked up again, I'd already left them behind. And the only thing louder than my engine that day was their silence. It happened on a Tuesday. I remember that because I almost didn't open my laptop that morning. We were 3 months in, barely scraping by. I'd just finished fighting an aggressive refund request the night before, and Alexis had fallen asleep sitting up with a half-eaten protein bar in her hand. We were tired in a way coffee couldn't fix and broke in ways we weren't telling our friends. That morning, I stood in the doorway of our spare bedroom, also known as headquarters, staring at a whiteboard full of dreams and untested strategies. My cursor hovered over the pause store button for longer than I want to admit. I was ready to fold. Then I got an email. Subject: urgent bulk order. Inquiry at first. I thought it was spam. But no, it was legit. A boutique lifestyle brand from the East Coast had found our products through a social influencer we didn't even know had tagged us. They wanted 500 units, paid, in advance. With rush delivery, I didn't breathe for 10 seconds. Alexis read the email over my shoulder and screamed before I could even process what was happening. That was the crack in the wall. 2 days later, another spike. An online magazine had featured one of our customer reviews. Then came new clients. Then referrals, brand collabs, affiliate links. We barely slept that week, but it was for a different kind of reason. We couldn't keep up with the orders. We hired a virtual assistant to handle the inbox, then someone to manage inventory, then a freelance content team to streamline our marketing. By month 5, we'd turned the corner, and by month 6, we weren't hustling to survive anymore. We were building an empire. Our living room cleared out. Orders were handled by a warehouse now. I signed a lease for a tiny downtown office with exposed brick and great lighting. There wasn't even a fancy nameplate at first. Just me, a secondhand desk, and the quiet thrill of knowing I'd done something no one thought I could. I bought Alexis a limited edition smartwatch she'd been eyeing. She cried when she opened it. I cried watching her cry. And when I got my first 5-figure check, I didn't rush out to frame it or pop champagne. I just stared at it in silence. Because in that moment, I heard my dad's old voice echoing in my head. Just make sure you've got a backup plan. Well, Dad, here's plan A. We didn't flaunt it right away. No Porsche yet. No designer labels. That came later. First, we just wanted peace. Quiet dinners with real food. A couch where we didn't have to shift cardboard boxes aside. Gas in the car and breathing room in the budget. Freedom. One night, while catching up on emails, I noticed a comment on our business Instagram page. My heart skipped. It was from a cousin. Didn't know you guys were blowing up like this. So proud of you. I opened their profile. There it was, a photo of the family getaway. That same snow cabin, same giant smiles. And now, underneath it, people from my childhood started tagging me left and right. The ripples were starting to reach them. And now, for the first time, they were watching. But I wasn't doing this for them. Not anymore. This was for the kid who sat alone at his art desk while his brother got his 10th trophy. For the college student who got laughed at for majoring in something creative. For the man who stood in front of 2 empty chairs on his wedding day and smiled anyway. This was for me, and I was just getting started. I was standing in line at my favorite cafe, just about to pay for a latte with oat milk and a confidence I hadn't felt in years, when my phone buzzed. Mom, we missed you at your brother's engagement party last month. Hope all is well. Let's catch up soon. No context, no apology, not even a how have you been, just that. Like she was reaching out after a casual lunch, not after missing my actual wedding. Not after ignoring months of silence and choosing an annual family trip over any acknowledgement that I even existed. I froze. Thumb hovering over the screen, something in my chest twisted. Not grief, not anger. Something quieter, sharper. Timing. It was like she cast a fishing line without bait, hoping I'd bite anyway. They had no idea what Alexis and I had built. No clue about the business, the clients, the back-to-back payout notifications that now popped up daily. But word had started to spread among the cousins. I'd seen the tags, the reshared reels, the sudden spike in likes from people with the last name I share. And now, this. I let the message sit there while I grabbed my drink. The barista smiled. Name for the Porsche guy? I laughed. I hadn't even told him what I drove yet. Back at the office, I reread the message. Still just as vague, still just as empty. I opened her contact, thumbed over the text bubble, started to type, Hey, been super busy, things have been going well. Hope you're okay too. Then I deleted it. Too polite, too eager to me 10 months ago. Instead I wrote, doing well. Been a wild year. Hope Adrian's doing great. Congrats to him. I hit send. A minute later, another ping. Mom, he's really happy. Maybe you can come to the house next weekend? Just dinner. Us and a few family friends. Would be nice to see you again, family friends. Back then, I would have panicked over what to wear, worried what to bring, rehearsed small talk and tried to impress them, prove I wasn't the family disappointment anymore. But now, I leaned back in my chair, sipping my latte slowly, letting the sweetness rest on my tongue. They hadn't changed. They were just curious now. Curious whether the kid they ignored was still fraying at the edges, or if he'd finally figured out how to stitch his own name into something valuable. I didn't respond right away. Something told me I didn't have to. Because for the first time, they were chasing me, and the higher I climbed, the easier it was to see what their love had always come attached to. Conditions, not affection. Not pride, but the kind of care that showed up only when convenience made it desirable. Well, I wasn't desperate for their dinner anymore. I had reservations of my own. I never used to be the kind of person who cared about cars. At least that's what I told myself. Growing up, luxury always belonged to other people. People on screens, people in magazines, people who got their names printed on banners at graduation parties. Not me, not second place. But the truth is, I did care. I noticed the way my dad's voice changed whenever someone in the neighborhood got a new car, especially if it was expensive. Must be drowning in debt, he'd mutter through gritted teeth. People like us don't drive $100,000 cars. I remember the way he said us, like it was a club built on limits, built on staying small. Back then, I believed him. I thought money was for other families, other sons, but not anymore, because now, I'd earned it. Every single dollar, it wasn't just about the car. It was about what it represented: freedom, proof, the loud, undeniable symbol of someone who no longer asked to be visible. And it started, like most life-changing things, by accident. I was walking past a dealership downtown, already dressed for a meeting that got pushed back. And there it was, midnight black, custom wheels, smooth leather peeking through the tinted glass. It looked like power molded into a curve. I stopped, just to admire it. One of the sales guys noticed and waved. I almost kept walking. But something inside me said, just test drive it, just once. For fun. 15 minutes later, I was behind the wheel, driving through the city with my heartbeat in my throat. It was fast. But clean, like it didn't need to prove a thing, just like I wanted to feel. The salesman was chatty, making small talk, probably assuming I'd never buy it. But when we pulled back into the lot, I looked at him and said, "What's the full price out the door?" He blinked. "I'll write the check now," I added, smiling. And yes, I want the custom trim. That grin on his face, that was for people like me, the ones he didn't expect. Walking out of that showroom with the Porsche key in my hand didn't feel like indulgence. It felt like reclamation. I didn't post about it. I didn't text anyone. Not Alexis, not friends. Not even the cousins now oh so curious about what I was up to lately. This wasn't for them. It was for the version of me who'd once overheard my father laughing with a friend about how Joe might be creative, but he'll never live above his means. Well, guess what, Dad? I wasn't living above my means. I had redefined them, and now I had the keys to prove it. I drove home in silence, no music. Just the hum of the engine and the quiet, knowing that I had stepped into something bigger than approval. I wasn't chasing anyone anymore. Which is probably why, when the invite to the family reunion came a week later, I sat with it calmly. No anxiety, no pressure, just opportunity. They wanted me to show up, so I would. In the only way they'd ever really taught me to speak, loud enough for them to notice. I took the long way there. Not because I needed more time, but because part of me wanted to feel it, the distance between who I used to be and who I was now. The neighborhood hadn't changed. Same cracked driveways, same lawn chairs near sidewalks, same wind chimes and uneven fences rattling in the breeze. But and pulling through the familiar gate in a brand new Porsche wasn't just transportation. It was closure on wheels. I wasn't nervous. Not anymore. I knew I didn't belong. Not the way they wanted me to. Not the way I used to try to force myself to. But this time, I wasn't walking in hungry for their attention. This time, their attention would find me. The gravel crunched beneath the tires. Heads turned. Conversations died mid-sentence. Drinks froze in midair. For a second, no one knew it was me. I let the engine idle for a beat. Its low, satisfied growl filled the empty air like a drum roll. I stepped out slow. Relaxed, calm, dressed clean. Nothing flashy, just finely cut, Watch gleaming, posture quiet and demanding. Adrian spotted me first. He was standing near the grill, laughing too loudly at someone's joke, but his face dropped when he saw me step out of the car. Recognition came slowly to the others, like fog lifting. Eyebrows lifted, hands covered mouths. One cousin actually gasped. For a moment, I felt like a celebrity. Not the kind they cheer for, but the kind that makes them adjust themselves. Sit up straighter. Recalculate everything they thought they knew. Wait, is that Joe? I caught someone murmur. I smiled a little, held it just enough to keep them leaning forward. My mom emerged from the backyard like someone hearing sirens. Her smile appeared fast and wide, a little too rehearsed. "Oh, Joseph, what a fun surprise. Didn't expect to see you," someone said behind her. Fake casual. Adrian shuffled toward me, fists lazily in his pockets, trying to figure out how to greet me like we were still peers. "Bro, you really out here driving German royalty now?" Treated myself. He smirked, but it didn't quite reach his eyes. "Damn, good to see you, man. It's been, what, since the wedding?" "Guess so," I said, shrugging, like it hadn't been a celebration I stood through mostly alone. As the crowd adjusted, I slid into the fold like a +1 at someone else's party. Nods, curious questions, playful pokes at the car's sticker price. "So, you win the lottery or something?" one uncle nudged. "Or did that little business thing take off?" another asked with a wink too eager. I gave vague answers. Sipped from a red cup. Let them talk. Let them feel the Porsche burning behind their eyes. The car had become a passenger in every conversation. No one could stop glancing at it. Not the cousins, not Adrian, not the people who couldn't even bother with a card on our wedding day. Every beer refill, every awkward icebreaker looped back to one question: how? And why hadn't they known sooner? Someone eventually asked, "Where'd you even come from today?" I tilted my head, smiled again. "Downtown? Had some meetings earlier." And I let that hang in the air like incense. They didn't ask follow-up questions because deep down, they didn't want the details. They wanted the narrative. Something easy to swallow so they wouldn't have to reckon with the truth. That while they were toasting Adrian's 4th promotion, I was building a life that made their validation completely irrelevant. They were seeing me like strangers now. And it was fitting, really, because somewhere along the way, I stopped being their forgotten one and started becoming something they never even imagined. The invitation came in a group text, not even a personal message, just a polite ping in a feed full of family birthday emojis and congratulations for Adrian's next big thing. Mom. Family reunion this Saturday at 5, BBQ at the usual spot. Let us know if you're coming. I wasn't going to reply. I let it sit for hours. I knew damn well they didn't expect me to show. I hadn't been to the usual spot in 2 years. But something about the ease with which they tossed the invite out, after all that had happened, got under my skin. They didn't ask. They presumed. And more than that, they assumed I'd still be the same, still quiet, still trying to earn a space at the table. So this time, I didn't say anything. I just showed up. Late, intentionally. Golden hour lighting. Engine detail glistening. And when I turned onto the gravel driveway in that sleek black Porsche, music low, confidence high, I swear the air shifted. They heard me before they saw me. Everything slowed. Jaws opened. Forks hovered. Adrian's hand, mid-high five with some niece I didn't know existed, dropped to his side. My dad stepped forward like someone might be playing a prank on him, squinted through the windshield, blinked twice. I parked slowly, like I had all the time in the world. The car hissed as it settled to a stop, and I stepped out like someone, arriving at a press conference, not a paper plate barbecue. Silence. Someone, I think it was my aunt, whispered, "Whose car is that?" I smiled. "Hey everyone, you'd think I'd brought Beyoncé." Adrian walked over first, smiling like he didn't still owe me a wedding toast. Well, look who decided to show up. "Damn, bro, this your ride?" "It is." I said it plainly. and watched his mouth flatten into that tight-lipped expression he makes when he's not sure if he should make fun of me or take me seriously. Then came Mom. Oh my God, Joseph. This is... what a surprise! She hugged me too long. Like physical affection could erase years of cold texts and empty chairs. Dad didn't say much. I think he was still processing the fact that I was standing there in custom loafers with a haircut that cost more than his entire wine shelf. And the Porsche? It sat there like punctuation. Like every time someone forgot what I'd overcome. There it was again, gleaming. It didn't scream. It didn't show off. It asserted. Some cousins started asking about the mileage, the engine, the upgrades. Someone else asked if I leased it. I smiled. Bought it outright. Boom. The air nearly cracked. I made small talk. Let them drown in their own curiosity. Sat at the edge of the gathering with Alexis, one hand on the small of her back, while I sipped rosé from a solo cup, and watched the rewiring happen in real time. Faces full of forced interest. Half smiles. Soft jabs dressed as jokes. Guess that creative stuff finally paid off, huh? Maybe you can make money without being a doctor. And then, you should have told us you were doing well. We're so proud of you. I didn't laugh. I didn't correct them. Let them have the version that let them sleep, because deep down, they knew the truth. They hadn't seen me. Not when it mattered. Not when it was hard. Not when the only seat I had was at the kids' table every holiday while Adrian's new house projects got the slideshow treatment. But now that I rolled in like a stranger with thunder under the hood, now I was someone, and the best part, I was nothing like the kid they used to overlook. This time, they were the ones unsure of their place. It hit me just after dessert, that creeping, familiar chill behind the warmth, the sudden sense that all the niceties, the compliments, the "we're so proud of you" speeches were not free. They never were. We were standing near the patio fireplace when Aunt Cheryl wandered over, pretending to warm her hands while nudging Uncle Rob a little too obviously toward me. They made small talk first. Cheryl complimented the car again, called it tasteful but successful, whatever that meant. Rob laughed politely, the kind of tight, forced laugh that said he wasn't here to chat. Then Cheryl landed the punchline. So, Joseph, we were wondering, actually. She tilted her head, fake gentle. Would you ever consider co-signing some papers for Trevor? For a second, I forgot who Trevor even was. Oh, I realized. That cousin. The one who borrowed $5,000 from Adrian and spent it on crypto and protein powder. I blinked. Sorry. Cheryl chuckled nervously. Just a small business loan. He's getting serious now. Planning to open a gym, finally. Took your success as inspiration, actually. Isn't that sweet? I smiled without smiling. My cup suddenly felt heavy in my hand. Trevor? Inspired by me? He never asked what I did. Never shared a post. Never reached out. Never said a word when my wedding came and went and my seat stayed cold. Rob stepped in, trying to close the sale. It's really not a lot on your end, just enough to show the bank someone credible's behind him. You'd be doing the family a huge favor. There it was. The family. That phrase. That leash. I nodded slowly. They both stared, waiting for certainty, for obedience made soft by years of being overlooked. A few seconds later, my dad wandered over, hand in his pocket, staying just on the edge of the conversation. I could feel it then. The whole thing, the trap. They hadn't invited me back to belong. They invited me back to borrow me, not my presence. Not my company, my credit score. Of course, only if you're comfortable, Cheryl added quickly. We'd understand if not, but, well, you're clearly doing well for yourself. That's when everything crystallized. Their attention wasn't my reward. It was my receipt, proof of transaction. This wasn't love. This was a bill. I took a sip, let the wine settle on my tongue. Then I looked at her, at Rob, at my dad, who was suddenly reinterested in the stars. And I said, I actually just made a promise to myself. that I'd never financially enable anyone who ignored me when I needed support the most. Silence. They blinked. Smiled awkwardly, unsure if I was choking or challenging. I heard Trevor didn't come to the wedding, I added lightly. Seems like co-signing would send the wrong message, don't you think? No one laughed. Rob cleared his throat. Well, it's just business, not personal. I looked him right in the eyes. It always was for me. And then I walked away. Simple as that. I didn't need a mic. Didn't need to raise my voice. Didn't even flinch when I passed the fire pit and saw Adrian watching me from the shadows. Lips tight, because the truth was burning, stronger than the flames. They hadn't wanted me back. They wanted to cash in now that I looked worth something. But they forgot I wasn't a silent investment anymore. I was the return they never knew they lost, and no, they weren't getting a dime. The sun had dipped low enough to cast everything in gold, the kind of light that makes the world look honest. As I walked back toward the Porsche, keys in hand, I knew someone would follow me, and of course, they did. My mom caught up first, with that soft, performative urgency she always pulled out for damage control. "Joseph, wait, don't go like this," she breathed, clutching her jacket tighter around her like she was cold when it was 75 and mild. I stopped, turned my head slightly. She blinked, searching for the right version of me to speak to. She hadn't realized I'd stopped fitting into the old ones. "We were just surprised, that's all," she said, forcing a smile. "I mean, the car, the business, it's just such a big change. You should have told us." I looked at her, steady, not angry. "Just done, I did tell you," I said quietly. "Plenty of times. You just weren't listening." Her mouth opened, closed. Behind her, my dad stood by the garden fence, staring at the car like it offended him. I knew that look. I'd seen it every time he caught me hoping for something he thought was out of reach. "I'm happy for you," Mom said finally. That's when I saw it, the subtle shift in her eyes. She wasn't sad I was leaving. She was sad I had proof that I didn't need them anymore. I nodded once. "Thanks." I opened the car door and paused just long enough for Dad to speak up. "Joe," he called from behind her, his voice like gravel. "Don't let some money make you forget who your family is." I turned fully now, my hand still resting on the doorframe. "No, Dad, money didn't do that." Silence did. Mom's breath caught. She reached out like she wanted to touch my arm. But this time, I took a step back. "I'm saving every cent," I told them both, "for someone who showed up for me." I didn't need to say who that was. I slid into the driver's seat with practiced ease. Closed the door gently, no slamming dramatics, no yelling, just peace. The engine started with a low roar, clean and powerful. I saw their faces in the rearview mirror, frozen, uncertain, smaller somehow. I didn't peel out or blast music. I just let the machine speak for me. That sound. It wasn't rage. It was release. It was everything I couldn't say over 20-something years of being the second thought. The extra seat. The quiet after the applause. As I eased down the driveway, hand relaxed on the wheel, I thought, they finally saw me, but they'd never know me. They missed their chance. And now? I'm not just gone. I'm miles ahead. Our Sundays look different now. No tense dinners. No side comments dressed as concern. No pretending that silence is love if you dress it up enough. Just sunlight pouring through our kitchen window, pancakes on mismatched plates, and Alexis humming off key to a playlist we made together years ago. There are plants in every corner, laughter that isn't attached to conditions, a quiet that feels earned, not like the cold shoulder I used to mistake for normalcy, but like peace. We moved into a house that didn't need to impress anyone but us. One with space for growth, for quiet dreams, for maybe, one day, tiny footsteps running through the hallway. Sometimes, Alexis asks me if I still think about them, and I do. Not with bitterness, not anymore. Just in fragments, a birthday they missed, a voicemail I never returned, moments small enough to live without, now that I know what real presence looks like. Because here's the truth. Most people don't want to admit. You can mourn your family and not miss them. You can walk away without hating them. you can still love parts of them. While refusing to live in the hole, I used to think being loved meant proving you were worth it, working harder, fitting, in shrinking enough that maybe they'd notice the hole you left by trying so hard to belong. But now I wake up knowing I don't have to earn love. Alexis showed up on my worst days, held me through the quiet failures, danced with me in grocery store aisles when our sales finally paid for our first real vacation. Just us. No one else watching. She saw me before the Porsche, before the office, before the success story. And she stayed. Not because I had something to offer, but because I just existed. That's the kind of love I build everything on now. Every client, every team member, every moment I step into who I am without apology. People still ask me about my family sometimes. When they come across an old tag or a last name we share, I just smile and say, they're doing what they always do. And I'm doing what I wasn't supposed to, living, freely, fully, without needing their applause. We don't keep photo albums of the people who never showed up. We build them with the ones who always do. And in this quiet life, with pancakes and playlists and small, sacred moments, I'm finally seen. But more importantly, I'm loved. And being seen feels good. But being loved, that's priceless.